Okay.
Got it. Yep. Now it's working. Thank you.
Okay. So that means that was nothing recorded up to now?
I believe so.
Okay, then I go back. So I just introduced myself, Markus Kamm, working for Miele, and I'm the presenter of today's webinar for the Excel round robin sheet. What is important if you use Excel and the round robin sheet, the Excel evaluation sheet for the round robin test, most problems, or sometimes we have the problem if you use this Excel sheet, sometimes formulas or some cells or values do not update automatically. And the reason is because someone have saved this file where the calculation options are set to manual. So in this case, you have to set it to automatic, and you will find it in the menu bar of Excel when you go on the file, options, formulas, calculation options, and then set this to automatic. Here you see it. In the case, it doesn't update automatically. It's manual is selected, so you change it to automatic, and then everything is fine. There are different ways to change it. Here's a different way on the right side. Choose what is convenient for you. The Excel evaluation sheet is pre-prepared by the regional leaders for your round robin test. So that means for every round robin test which we are running here, where we have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and so on. These are prepared by the regional leaders so that you don't have to fill in the test series parameters. So they are pre-filled. And in case you have questions or problems, the first thing is that you should call your regional leaders first. And if they can't solve the problem, they will come back to me and we will see to solve your problem, if there are any. The golden rules for using the evaluation sheet, and this is learning from all other RRTs we have done in the past, is that you do not change formulas in the Excel sheet, that you do not move data cells, that you do not copy formula cells, and you do not enter data for or something for not measured values. So if you are not measuring something and there is in a cell, don't touch it. Don't put in 0 in, don't put a dash in or something else. Leave it empty as you have not measured this parameter. There is always a column note called note where you can fill in your comments or observations or anything what is interesting for those who are evaluating the sheet, that they understand what happened. So maybe if a measurement unit fails and there are missing values for power consumption, then write it in the note cell. Don't put a dash or a 0 in the consumption value cells, because that will influence the evaluation. So yeah, that I've said in the beginning that we have individual evaluation sheets or files per round robin test design. The latest, the files are always named in this manner here, and there you have a version, a version in, and the round robin design code. The XX stands for the version. Up to date, for the evaluation sheet version, up to date it's the 5th version we are using. And then we have different round robin test designs. And here you see an example for the test designs 1, 6, 7, and 10. So this you will get by your regional leader for running the round robin test. And in the evaluation sheet, in the file, there's a first worksheet. It's called Introduction. And this you should read very carefully, because everything, or more or less what is in the webinar today, is there explained, but in a very compressed way. to understand the different worksheets, there is something which is similar to all the worksheets. That means if you see a red triangle in the upper right corner here, then there is an additional comment or information to understand better what is meant with this column or with this column or with this cell. Green cells are always used for data inputs. That means these cells have to be filled by you as you have measured as a parameter. Blue cells are more or less on the right, and these are formulas in, so that means you don't have to touch them. They are updated automatically. And we have gray cells. This is our headers and something like that. So, or empty cells. And at the end of the round robin test, latest then, or to do it in the beginning, you should select your laboratory code. I will show that to you later. That's very important so that we can distinguish between the different files, and that you save it under the given file name in the Excel sheet. There in the introduction, on the introduction worksheet, there's a cell where the file naming is automatically updated, including the laboratory code. Here is an AA for the laboratory code and the round robin test design, so that evaluation or putting together all the files which we get from the different laboratories, and the evaluation of the data is more easier and convenient for those who are evaluating the data. And this file you have to send to your regional leader, and the regional leader will anonymize the file if there are some special comments in or something like that in the node cell, so that after all, no one knows from which this file was sent. If you have any questions, just interrupt me, take up your question or come up with your questions so that we can discuss it here and all the others will participate in that. This is a short introduction, all the worksheets we have, so that you have an overview. On the right, you see how the page is looking. And on the left, you see what the name of the worksheet is. So this is what I was talking about, the introduction file worksheet, where you'll find all the necessary information. Then comes the global worksheet, where you have to fill in at first your laboratory code and so on. And as I said before, we have, this I didn't say it before, if you are participating in more than one round robin test design, for example, if you are participating in round robin test 1, that is the cotton part, and in 6 and 7, that is the wool part, and some are participating in this. That means for this round robin test designs, you have different files, but not only different files, you have a different lab code for each round robin test. That means if you are participating in 3 round robin tests, you should have got from Rainer 3 different lab codes, and you have to use it as linked to the round robin test design. So this was sent out by Rainer. You should have got it in the meanwhile. The next worksheet is the pre-check. That means as you receive the machine, you have to run at first one pre-test run, so that we can see if the machine was damaged on the transport and the values are not in line with the values we expect. At that stage, you should send the first time the file to the regional leader, and the regional leader checks the values, and wait for the OK from the regional leaders, so that you can go on with the test series. And then comes the main part, the worksheet. Here you have to fill in all the measured values, except for some parameters where we have single worksheets for, because the data or the database of these other measurements are so big that they don't fit in this table. And as you see, some are marked gray here because in some round robin test designs, we don't have a measurement of gentleness of action or shrinkage also, or something else. Then these worksheets may be hidden by your regional leaders, so that it's up to the regional leaders. Maybe they have left it in, then you don't have to fill it, or you don't see it. Don't wonder, because for this round robin test design, you don't need these parameters. And this is gentleness of action. And the next one is shrinkage. And then we have the worksheet for the reflectance value. This is a larger one. And what is important, you have to measure the unwashed stain strips, let's say first, because these values are used for calculations. And if you at the end haven't strips left over, then you can't do the measurement. So make sure that you measure 10 stain strips randomly selected from the packages you got. Don't take one packages and measure all the 10. Better take 10 packages and take out one strip from every package, and you get here an averaged overview of or result of the unwashed stain strips. Next one is always LRS measurement. This means here you have to put in the measurement for the swatch data and the water weights and so on. And for the calculation of the LRS data, we need the LRS calibration curve, the detergent calibration curve. And for every detergent we are using, we have here a table which you have to fill for those detergents you are using. And for those who are using a dispenser for the LRS method, as Michael Munich explained the webinar before, you can calibrate here your dispenser so that all the water weights are automatically transferred to the to this sheet here, and you don't have to put in or weight in every bottle you are extracting, but that depends on how you work in your laboratory. We recommend to do it if you are measuring LRS on a regular basis, because this saves time, a lot of time. So now I switch to the live presentation, to the Excel sheet. Any questions up so far? Not the case.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Christine here, I have a question. You said that we shouldn't change any cells or copy them, but is it possible to fill in copied values from my sheet to the evaluation sheet, or is this also not possible?
Yeah, that is possible. I switched to a different table. So that means you have, and I put in a value. So have in a different table, you have a cell with a value of 5. Then you go right click and you say copy. And now you switch to this table. And when you insert it, it's important. It's important to only paste in the values. You have options here in Excel. Normally it would override the formatting of the cell, but if you put it in and you select only values, then it puts only in the 5.
Okay, this is allowed. Thank you.
Yeah, that is allowed.
And I have another question.
A different example, I put in here a 7 and say copy and paste it in without anything. Now you see it's gray. That's not a problem, but other formattings are also copied. And for the evaluation part, it's not so easy then to see what is ongoing. So always use the option to paste only values in. Yeah.
And I have another question. You said that maybe the regional leader will hide the sheets that we don't need or will gray the cells. But if he doesn't do so, how do we know which tests you expect us to do for all the round robin tests? Will we get more information?
Yes, that was presented by Rainer, in which round robin test which measurements should be done. That was part of the former webinar. Maybe he has to explain it again.
There won't be any more documentation. It's all just in the webinars.
No, I think that should be distributed to all. And if it's not clear to all, I think we have to update it. So I would ask the regional leaders to distribute the test plan from Rainer, where all the round robin tests are shown, and those you can see what parameters have to be measured for which round robin test.
Yeah, Rainer here. Sorry for being late. Markus is right. There is no say information coming than that from the regional leader. So the regional leader should tell you what kind of test you should do and what tables you should fill for that round robin test he is responsible for.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rainer. So, yes, we come from the introduction. That is now what I'm explaining to you. And the first worksheet here is the global one. And I have chosen a file where our data just filled in so that we get a better feeling for these worksheets. And here, the round robin test design that is selected, you know to which file this, to which round robin test design this file belongs. So this is pre-filled, but this cell was empty before, and you have to select your laboratory code. So that is important. Then you fill in the machines you are using. This is pre-filled by the regional leader because he knows what round robin test design for what round robin test design this file is, and the machines are fixed. So this is filled in. You can you should add your serial numbers to identify them, and then you fill all these what is coming here below. What means what test materials are you using for your tests? Not everything has to be filled, because if you run only a cotton test, then you don't want to use wool or liquid detergent and so on. So just go through the test material section and see what is appropriate. And what I've not explained in the legend, you see here, you have drop down. Sometimes you have drop down values. That means you can only select between these prefix data, which are defined in before. Example here for conditioning methods, we only have these 3 methods. So choose the one you are using, and also for these other parameters. And as you click on the cell, you see if you have to choose or you have to fill in the complete data which belongs to the parameter. This is test materials here, and then below there comes test instrumentation. That means all the devices you are using, and this is grouped by, say the art of what you are measuring. So we don't have a group scales where all the scales are listed, but we have them. We have the scales attached to the kind of measurement. That means because for the base load measurement, you need a different scale as for the LRS measurement. Here's a different scale with different requested accuracies. So it's easier for you to check where you have to fill in. And for those who are looking after that, what scale was used, it's easier to see for which parameter or for which parameter group it was used.
Markus, can you please enlarge it a bit?
Sure.
Yes, and loud. Yes, sir. Wonderful.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So for the spectral photometer, for the reflectance, for the stain strips, there we have additional requirements or data, very specific data, which are asked to fill, which have to be filled out. So you find here a different section where you have to fill in these additional data. And what you have to fill in is this is given by the standard here, what has to be reported and what you have to fill in, which brand you are using, which model, which accuracy, which resolution, what is the measurement range. These are specific data as said for the spectral photometer, and at least until which date the device is calibrated. So fill in what is appropriate for your devices you are using, and you have the chance, or you use the note column where you can put in additional informations if needed. And here up to water analytics and so on, all the parameters are listed, and you should fill all the things you are using. Then I want to switch to the Precheck worksheet, if there are no questions. Okay. So the Precheck worksheet has to be filled for the first run with the test machine to check if everything is okay, nothing is broken, and so on. And you have the availability. You have the chance to fill in 5 test runs, but it's not needed. So if you fill in 1 or 2, it's sufficient to see if the machine works well. So, but you have the option here to fill in 5 test runs and fill in those measurements or parameters or values which are available for you. What we have here, energy. Okay, so if you can't separate between different washing rinses, then you fill in only the main wash and the total water consumption. But if you have all this sub data, fill them in. It's better to analyze the machine or to analyze the data, and this is valid for all the other tests too. These worksheets are always separated or grouped in sections, so that you have here at the beginning the run information, then here the base load, spinning informations, and maybe not all you are measuring the spin speed because it's optional in the round robin test. If you don't have the data, leave it empty. Then you have the water section, energy section, and the duration section. And this is also true for the main wash template. And after you have filled it, as I said before, send it to the regional leader, and he will check and if the values are okay for the machine, and you can go on with the test, with the round robin test. Yeah, that's the main worksheet. And all this is what is here in the beginning. These are the tests. Let's say it's test parameters. They are filled by the regional leaders. You don't have to care about them. You don't have to care about them. They should be filled correctly, but you have to care about them in a way that you see here what kind of round robin test you are running here and what kind of test series you are running. So the reference test run always should come first, and the reference run has the assigned test series numbers. And in all the other worksheets which are following, you have as a reference here the test series identifier, so that you know if you have values for the test series Identifier 100, then this belongs to this reference one here. So that is the link between the worksheets. And yeah, and if you, after you have run the test series, or while you are running the test series, you have to fill in all the data here. Don't bother about this grouping here, because there are some values behind we don't use for this round robin test, because this worksheet or this template is also, it's always also possible to use it for washer dryer tests. So at first here you have to enter the laboratory conditions, and what is very important for all the parameters you are entering, always always check what unit has to be given here, because for water hardness we often see that someone types in the German degrees of hardness, and that's that is a different value than what is requested here. And requested is always what is written in the standard, and it's millimole per liter here. So pay attention to the units. You see it in the heating, and yeah, fill the cells according to the requested unit. That makes it easier that we don't have to update often the sheets after they were submitted. And after laboratory conditions, all what is linked to the run information is asked here. You have the capacity of the machine, and here you see here automatically we have formulas in, because yes, if you have one machine, and then for the other test run, it should be the same, as you're not switching machines. And some test parameters are also fixed for a test series, so you don't have to fill in them, they are copied automatically. Next one is you have the test loads, the nominal test load mass, that is depending on the test design, and then the linked parameters, how many strips you are using, what detergent dosage, and then you have to the total detergent dosage, and then you have to go in the details, the base detergent, the bleach part, and the activator part, what you have dosed, and then on what date the test run was started and what time it was started. Here you have a row for your own. So here you can put in your own identification number, so you know what to what these data are linked to your own measurements you fill in here. And at least here is the note column. If there are some notes you have to make or to give information to those who are evaluating the sheet, they can be informed about failures or something that happened, about your observations. Then you have the base load identification number, what you are using, so you can identify it. And then all the base load data which has to be given, what characterizes the base load. That means the number of different textiles, average age, and so on. And at the end, you have the conditioned to fill in the conditioned base mass of the base load, the mass of the base load before you start the circle, and the base load after the test run has finished. That means that is here mass after washing cycle. And if you are measuring it in the extracting phase of the washing cycle, the maximum spin speed can be noted here and shall be noted here if you are measuring it. The next group is all about rinsing alkalinity. LRS alkalinity you will find in a different worksheet. And here you have the section tap water, and besides the bundle, the extracted water. And this is a double measurement of the tap water and also of the bundles. So you make a first measurement, the mass of the sample, what you are titrating, so how many grams, and then the volume of hydrochloric acid, what you have used for titrating this first sample, and then you redo it. Then you have a second sample, and then you can see if you have if you have deviations between the measurements. And this also has to be done for the extracted water. That means all the bundles you have to select for the extraction. That's not all bundles as written here, but that's all complete bundles. Let's say it's all complete bundles. As Michael Munich explained, there are some parts which are left over. They don't have to be, they are don't used for the extraction. Next part is, yeah, the water group. Everything what what is linked to water consumption. Yeah, I notice here that something is hidden. So energy consumption starts here. So water consumption is this, and here's something missing, the energy consumption. And this is water consumption in main wash for cold and hot water, if we have any hot water machines. And this is a very special cell here, and therefore we have this red triangle in the right upper corner, because it says duration supply in, I make it this, duration supply is for the first fill time, but this is only for the reference machine, because this is a check criteria for the reference machine. So that means you don't, you only have to fill it for the reference machine. Yeah, you only have to fill it in for the reference machine. And then we have water consumption for different rinse cycles, total water consumption, and the water inlet temperature you have measured for the water which was taken in, the cold water and also the hot water. And then we have this energy consumption section. Yeah, let's say it's those energy and temperature consumption. So here's the total energy consumption, which has to be filled in. And then there are the data loggers, which you use for checking the wash temperature. And we have 3 of them. So you fill in the data from all the 3 data loggers. The next section is the low power mode consumption. If you are measuring it, we have the different modes sections here. If the machine has an off mode, if it has a standby mode, a network standby mode, delay mode, or left on mode. And for all these measurements, which have to be done for the machine you are using, because they are differentiating from each other, you make the basic measurements. That means you measure the energy consumption and you measure the time you have measured the energy consumption, and then the power is calculated. Do not put in the power, only the power value, because then we don't have all the raw data. And yeah, your measuring device should give you this information. And this is always the same. The power, the energy consumption and the duration has to be filled in here, here, and so on to the left, to the right, until the left on section. There we have the energy consumption and the time, but for the different yeah, let's say states or modes of the left on consumption, which is described in the standard. And at least we have the duration for the main wash and the total duration. And then everything what is on the right, that is what is calculated out of the raw data, or what is linked from the other worksheets. So you don't have to fill in anything here, but you can find the calculated results for all the formulas and calculations which are described in the standard. And as said before, the link between the measure or the test series and the following worksheets are the test series identifier. So now if we switch to gentleness of action, we see only the test series identifier. So you have to know what is behind this test series identifier, which test series of your test design was it, and then you can fill in here the appropriate data, and they transferred to the main sections in the formula to the main section in the right part of the worksheet here with the formulas. So for gentleness of actions, we have you have to run a reference test series that was here the test series identifier 100, and always the full hundreds are always reference test series. This is by design by the Excel template. So full 100 means always reference, and the other one is the test machine. And in the test designs, you only have one reference test series and one test machine test series. You find here the test run number. We have up to 5 test runs. Then you find the used specimen number. This is there you have to put in the data for those numbers you have used. If you have only used 2 or 3, then you only fill 2 or 3 lines and leave all other lines or rows empty. And then you have to fill in the measurements, and that was explained by Günther, how the GUA measurement is measured. You count red squares, you count blue squares, you count yellow single threads, and fill this data here in. You don't have to calculate anything, just fill these numbers, and the formula automatically calculates the numbers. And this is different to the standard, because in the standard there it said for the red squares you have to add 1 yellow thread, but this is all done automatically in the formula. Just do it in the way as Günther explained it. And this is for the warp direction, the same for the weft direction, and then all other parameters are calculated for the reference machine, also as for the test machine. And these data are transferred to the main table. At least there is a ratio calculated, and this is what characterizes the GUA, the GUA performance of this machine. And if you are participating in the if you are running a shrinkage test, and that means you are participating in a wool test series, here we have the same. We are running test series in a reference machine, that's the number 100, and running in a test machine, that's the number 101. And again, you have these initial measurements before the test series, and then in between nothing happens. But after 4 test runs, the test series is completed, and you do the final measurements. And you have up to 3 specimens for this test series, and for these 3 specimens, you fill in these measurements, as Günther explained, 3 measurements in the width direction, 3 measurements in the length directions, and after this is filled in, all other data are calculated and transferred to the main table or the main worksheet. Then we come to the reflections values. And because we have per round robin test design one file, you only have to fill in one section for the stain strip type. I should start with the headings here. So here, once again, you see your laboratory code, you see the test series identifier, and then you have your test run number. And at the beginning here, we have the unwashed measurements. That means the unwashed test strips where the data have to be filled in. The next one is the stain strip number you have in the test series, or you have in the measurement of the unwashed stain strips. And then here, that's important. That is the one where after what you are orientating. So if you have a standard test, then you only fill for the unwashed part here, this section. If you have a cold water test series, then you only fill this part. And if you have a wool test series, you only fill this part. And at the bottom, you will find the appropriate stain strip type related to your test series, what you have chosen in the beginning. And as the stains are different between the types of stain strips, we have this different naming in the header or in the heading. So if you have a sebum on the stain strip, you put it in here. If you have carbon black in or colcar named, that's for the cold water test. You fill in these sections. For the blood, you fill in this. For the cacao, you fill in this if you have a standard stain strip. If you have a wool stain strip, it's again cacao. And if you're a cold water stain strip, you fill in here the coal art measurements. And at least for the red wine, you take this columns, and for the cold water, it's coal 1. So, and what is meant with 1 up to 4 here? These are the single measurements on each stain. You have to do 4 measurements on one side as described in the standard, and that means you fill in all these 4 measurements here in this cell so that we have the raw data. If you are not able, because the device and the software puts out only an averaged value of these 4 readings, you only put in a value in the first cell and leave the others blank. This will work too. But if you have all the raw data available, you should fill in all 4 measurements. For the calculation, it makes no difference because afterwards the average of this 4 is used. And if you fill in the average at the beginning or the single values, that makes no difference for the evaluation. So both ways work. Yes, and after you have filled in the unwashed measurements from the stain strips, you fill in, after the test series are completed, the measurements for the test series. And as I've explained before, you should measure 10 strips of the unwashed strips. And for the test series, yes, it depends on what you are measuring, so what you are testing. So for the reference series, you only have 5 strips because it's a 5 kg, or it's loaded with a 5 kg base load. And for the machine under test, it depends on the capacity you are testing. You can enter up to 10 test strips, and that's sufficient because we have machines with not more than a capacity of 10 kJ. And all to the right, that is now what we need for calculation, this washing performance and also for the cleaning performance. And this data on the right, they are transferred to the main worksheet. So what you have to fill in is what is green here, and then everything is calculated. Yeah. And yeah, you see here a comma always in between, but Excel is working in the way that if you are in the US section, you use a dot for separating it, but Excel will automatically transfer it so that you see it in the right way, which you are how you are used to it. So if you're used to see here a dot, you will this comma will change to a dot as you are opening the file. So now we come to the LRS measurements. And again, you see here, you see the test series identifier. You know what test series, for what test series you are filling the data. Then you have the test runs, up to 5 test runs, which we are running. Then you have a note column for anything what you observed. And then you have to enter the swatch weight from the scale. And at next, the water weight. And you see here, it is always the same. And here's a formula in, and the cell is light green. So that means if you are not using a dispenser, you fill in here what you have measured, let's say 500. And this you have to enter for every cell because you are measuring every bottle of water and you are not using a dispenser. If you are in the lucky position to have a dispenser, you don't have to fill in anything if you are using the calibration worksheet, then this is filled in by the formulas as you have seen before. So if you use a dispenser, live or measurement is easier and it's more convenient to work in this way. And the next is that you have to measure 3 times the absorption in the cuvette for the wavelengths of 223 and the wavelengths of 330. You fill in these data here and you do it 3 times for each single measurement or for each single test run, for each single extraction. And then on the right, with the detergent calibration curve, or its concentration curve, related to the detergent you are using, everything else is calculated. So this is blue, this is our all formulas, this is all done automatically. So just go down here in the green section and fill everything what is needed for your test series. In advance or at a later stage, if you do it at a later stage, then this formula will not update it as long as you have done the calibration curve, the detergent calibration curve, and also the dispenser calibration if you are using it. So better do it first, then you will see the calculated values, but it's independent. You can fill it later also. So here we have the different, in the beginning, the laboratory code, and this is independent from the test series identifier. We have the column detergent, and for the detergent you are using in this test, in this round robin test design, you have to choose the right part of the table here. So if you are using the ICP detergent, then you fill in the values for this section here. You should fill in a date, and then you have the description of the method, how it has to be done, and all what is written here is linked to the standard. So you have a stock 1 detergent sample volume or sample weight. You put it in here, and then what you transfer from the stock 1 to the stock 2 solution, you fill in here, and what you are transferring from the stock 2 solution to the working standards, you fill in here, and then the concentration is calculated automatically, and with the absorbance you are measuring for these different working standards. You have to fill in again the 2 wavelengths where you are measuring, and you do it 3 times for calculating the standard deviations and so on. And after you have filled in everything, the R² values and the slope and the intercept for one set of testing is calculated. That means you have the first sample and you have done it according to the standard. You have prepared the working stations, you have measured it, then you get these values for the first sample. But as the method describes, you have to do it 3 times. You have to take 3 samples out of the detergent, and Michael Munich explained it in his webinar how to do it. And you repeat it 3 times, and then you get for the single measurements, you get the 3 times the R² and so on. And these data are all combined, and the overall R² is calculated. And you see in this example below, so if there are red cells, or if the values are marked red, then that means they are exceeding the given limits. So the R² is below the threshold, and so this calibration curve is not valid, and you have to redo it. So if you see something what is red here, then you means this detergent calibration curve is not allowed to calculate the LAS values. So you see it very easily. And on the right, you see a graphic from what you have measured. And as you see, if it's close to each other, you see here, okay, all R² are near 1 or more or less 1, that's fine. But if you see deviations between these curves, you see that occurs from that something happened here, something was measured not correct, or detergent was not filled in correct, or whatever. So you have a visual feedback from the data, what you have put in. And then just redo it. And at least if you are using a dispenser, you have to fill in the water temperature you are using, because we are converting volumes to mass, and that is dependent on the temperature. So put in the temperature of the water, which are used for calibrating the dispenser. The easiest way is to do it, store it in the laboratory for a certain amount of time, 1 day before, 2 days before, whatever, and then measure the temperature. Then you can be sure that you don't have any change of temperature in between. What is important and what has changed to former round-robin tests on the LAS method, you put in here the dispenser volume, and the 100 milliliter dispenser is the biggest one I know. There is no 500 milliliter dispenser available. But what you are calibrating is what you are dosing in the bottle, and you are dosing at least 500 milliliters. So you have to repeat it 5 times, and that is the reason why we say we calibrate to 500 milliliters. So you use the bottle where you extract the swatches later, you tare it, you fill it 5 times as you do it with the swatches in, and then you read the weight of the dosed water by the dispenser and fill it in here in this section. And that is important, because there's a difference because if you only do it 1 time or do it 5 times in series. If you use such a dispenser, you will see that sometimes drops of water are dropping down, but they are dropping into the bottle, so they have to be measured and weighted for the calibration. And in this part, in this cell here, you put in the manufacturer and model of the dispenser you are using. And so if you are using or filling this data here, these data are transferred to the LRS worksheet, and you don't have to wait in the water for every bottle you are using for the LRS extraction. Yeah, that's the end are the explanations for the worksheet we have in the Excel work template. So it's up to you to ask questions.
Yes, Markus, thanks a lot. This is, yeah, quite a lot of things to do, but I think it's well structured. Nevertheless, there may be questions. Please, come on. Now it's your best chance to ask the expert. Now, come on. Yeah, I don't know. Perhaps you're overwhelmed. Phil, you want to ask something?
I would just like to ask, the numbers that are given in this sheet, are they true test values? Could we use these in our own sheets as tests to see what happens when you move them a little bit?
It depends on. So this seems to be real test, real, yeah, more or less values which are real. But sometimes in the main sheet, I've just put in some arbitrary values just to see if the worksheet works, but they don't make sense. So you can't rely.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. There is a great deal to look for here.
Yeah, as you see, I said this column here, this is the supply water time for the first filling. Only for the reference machine you have to fill it, but you find values also for a test machine here. So this is nonsense from the request of the table, but it's important for me to check the table. So they don't make sense here.
I also noticed for the reference machine at one point, the inlet water temperature was 10 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's arbitrary data. And
so don't send us your Excel sheet back with the data as we have put it in and say this is the result. We will recognize that.
Yeah, this sheet is not available. You get an empty sheet, no? So this is only for the presentation for the webinar here, that we have some values in that we see something. Because if everything is always green, I think it doesn't make so much sense.
Yes. Okay, so if you have problems, first contact your regional leader. He has set up this template and he knows what kind of values are needed for this specific RRT. So he is your first contact person, please.
Yeah, maybe some.
Yeah, if there are no questions, then
maybe,
I think, yeah, Markus, please.
Yeah, maybe some words, because I noticed here, I jumped over this because this is pre-filled, but maybe I should say some words to this. So this is the test series descriptions, what is in these columns here. So here you identify which machine you're testing, what type of machine is it, what temperature is used, or which temperature is related to the program. That doesn't mean that it must reach 60 degrees, but it's defined as a cotton 60 degree program. Yeah, here you see the type of program, and here is important. Here you see what normalization, kind of normalization you have to use for this test series, because this is given by the test design, and the water hardness is given by the test design. The cold water temperature also, and the type of detergent, and relating to the type of detergent also the stain strips or vice versa. This depends on the test design. The stain strip type is predefined. So with this, there's a unique identifier for the test series. but this all has to be pre-filled by the regional leader. But it's wise to check it.
Marcus, one more question, please. Did I miss the wash load temperature, the data logger? Is that in the sheet?
Yeah, it's in the section of, as I told, energy, but energy was missing here.
Aha, yep.
So let me see
A
it.
bit to the right. To the right.
Over here.
Here
So
it comes.
here, energy is missing. Energy and temperature is missing. I think it's something to the left. And here we have the data logger 3.
Yep. Thank you.
So energy and temperature. That I should have moved to the right. No, it's perfect.
Okay. And don't forget, if you take part in different round-robin tests, we need one of these Excel sheets, Excel files for each round-robin test you are taking part.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you probably can copy from one to the other. For example, the instrumentation, if it's the same, you can copy it from one RRT to the other.
Yeah, sure.
But it needs separate file and a separate file name.
Yeah, as you see, you can only, your regional leader has chosen the right test design, and you can only put in one test design per file. So that means it's only valid for one round-robin test design. And fill in your laboratory code here. And as I said before, I will jump to it. And as you have filled it, you will find the correct naming of the Excel sheet here. And as you see, oh, my laboratory code is AA. Why is VD here standing? And this has to do because the Excel is now in a manual calculation method. You see it in German. There's written berechnen here below. I don't know what is written in English. I think calculate. And then you have to change. The calculation method to automatic, or you press F9. Now I've pressed the bottom F9, and now the worksheet calculates all formulas which are in the worksheet or in the work file are calculated. And now you see here's AA, and you should use this naming for the file when you send out the data. So say save under and so on, and use this name. You can say copy and put it in the Explorer menu where the file naming is requested. So that's important to track and identify the different files.
Okay, any more questions coming up? If that's not the case, then I thank Markus for taking over and opening the meeting. Thank you very much, Markus. And I thank you all for taking part in this webinar. We continue with our last webinar next Thursday. Here we will cover issues which are not tested in the round-robin test, but they are important extensions of the standard. So we think it's worth for you to know how this is implemented in the 6th edition. It's on one side the intermittently recurring function. I will tell you what there's behind. Then we have the issue of multi-compartment washing machines. You know, this is also a very hot topic in the market. So how do we test those machines? And last but least, the low power modes, where we have also new definitions of the low power modes. So they are partly included, but not for everybody. But we will explain you what it is all about. So Reni Saupe and Gundula Chitevsky will support me on Thursday. So I thank you very much, and I hope to see you all again on Thursday. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Markus. Thank you, Rana.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Markus, bleibst du da?
Bye bye.
Ja.